Hello and welcome to the 2012 Continuum of Care Registration and Program Highlights broadcast. Welcome and thank you for joining us today and listening to our broadcast. My name is Brian Fitzmaurice. I am the Director of the Community Assistance Division within the Office of Special Needs Assistance Programs, better known as SNAPs, and I am joined by Lisa Kaufman, who is one of our SNAP specialists. Today we will provide an overview of the registration process for this year and discuss some of the COC program highlights that collaborative applicants need to be aware of for this year's competition. Today's broadcast will cover the following topics: an introduction to the registration process, an overview of the EastNAP system and what the registration process and EastNAPs will accomplish, definitions of key registration terms, going over the basics of the 2012 registration process, Continuum of Care program highlights, and then finally reviewing some of the timeline and resources available to you. We hope you find this broadcast an informative tool as you begin to register your COC in EastNAPs. So since the registration process is conducted in EastNAPs, let's take a quick refresher on the EastNAP system. EastNAPs is the online registration system for applications and grants management for HUD's Continuum of Care program. The system is available online at the HUD-HRE.info. Since the registration process is conducted in EastNAPs, let's take a quick refresher on the EastNAP system. It is the online system for collaborative applicants to complete the COC registration and submit the application and manage the COC program grants. The entry page is accessible on HUD's Homeless Resource Exchange, the HUD-HRE, on the internet. Registration in EastNAPs allows the following to occur: collaborative applicants to validate the COC geographic area and merger status if the COCs are merging. HUD to apportion preliminary pro rata need, that is the PPRN, dollars associated with the COC's geographic area. Next, COC applicants to identify grants that are eligible for renewal funding in the 2012 competition and record annual renewal demand through the use of the Grant Inventory Worksheet, that is the GIW. And for collaborative applicants to indicate intent to reallocate funds within the COC and list projects that are planned for reallocation during the COC program competition, again through the GIW. Registration in EastNAPs also allows HUD to calculate the collaborative applicant's final pro rata need, that is the FPRN amount for the 2012 program competition. HUD to inform each COC of eligible permanent housing bonus amount available in the geographic area jurisdictions. Next, for HUD to inform each COC of the amount available for COC planning funds. And finally, for collaborative applicants to confirm their intent to submit the application for the 2012 COC competition. Lisa will now go over key terms in the registration process.
So we will now go through some definitions of key registration terms that you'll find in the registration notice. And it's important that you understand these terms because you'll need them in order to complete the FY2012 registration in EastNAPs. We will go over some of the terms to provide context for our discussion today. However, we encourage you all to thoroughly review the registration notice to get the full definitions for all of the key terms located in there. So the first one is the annual renewal amount, ARA. And this is the amount that a grant can be awarded on an annual basis when renewed. It includes only those eligible activities that were funded in the original grant, minus those activities that are non-renewable, which include your capital costs and the related administration. The next term is the collaborative applicant. And this is the entity designated by the COC to submit the registration and application in the COC program competition on behalf of the COC. This was formerly referred to as the lead agency. The Continuum of Care primary contact, this is the person with the authority from the collaborative applicant to submit the COC program competition application on behalf of the COC. This is what we refer to as the COC primary contact. The Continuum of Care Preliminary Pro Rata Need, PPRN amount, this is the amount of funds a COC could receive based on the geographic area that HUD approves to be included in your COC. For fiscal year 2012, the calculation of PPRN will be affected by new factors as HUD is establishing a new baseline of need. Renewals previously funded under the Shelter Plus Care program are now added to the renewals that were previously funded under the Supportive Housing Program to establish the COC's overall renewal demand. For some COCs, there will be substantially different amounts of PPRN available for new projects after the renewal demand is established, and for other COCs, the renewal demand may be more than the PPRN. Annual renewal demand, which is ARD, this is formally hold harmless need, and this is the amount of all the projects that are submitted for renewal in the fiscal year 2012 COC program competition. The final pro rata need, FPRN, this is either the higher of the COC's PPRN or renewal demand, and the final pro rata need will be confirmed during the registration confirmation process. Project applicant is the entity that will complete the project application, formerly the Exhibit 2, for funding to operate a housing or service project for homeless individuals or families. And the Unified Funding Agency is the UFA, and this is an eligible applicant selected by the COC to apply for a grant for the entire continuum. The UFA needs to be approved by HUD, and then HUD will award a grant for the entire continuum. UFAs must have the capacity to carry out all of the duties which are outlined in the COC program interim rule. You'll find that at section 578.11, section B. During registration, all collaborative applicants have the ability to apply for designation as a UFA, and as I said, if approved by HUD, then HUD will issue one grant to the UFA for all of the continuums projects. And we'll talk more about UFAs in a minute. Okay, so those were the definitions of the key terms. One thing I will mention is that many of the new terms are located in the registration notice. You'll find them in caps so that you can make sure to reference them as new terms in the 2012 process. Okay, so we will highlight the registration notice for you. It basically pretty much follows similar format as in previous years, but as I mentioned, the new terms that are present throughout the notice will be in caps to draw your attention to those. And in addition, we also have citations provided in the rule so you can easily access the information in the COC program interim rule. So there are 5 main sections to the registration notice. The first is the overview, which provides an overview of the registration process as well as some of the expectations for the competition to come. The second section is the definitions, which pertain specifically to the registration process, and you will notice that the definitions as defined in the COC program are all noted with citation for ease of reference. The third section is, of course, the registration process, and there you will find detail on the various steps throughout the registration process. The fourth section are the COC program highlights, and this provides COCs with some of the significant changes that you may see when the fiscal year 2012 COC program NOFA is released later this year. And then lastly are the registration resources, and these are the tools that you can use to access the frequently asked questions, training modules, and other resources that are available to help you with completing the registration. So here is just a flow chart for the registration process. First, the registration opens in EastNAPs. Second, the collaborative applicant will enter all of the applicable information in registration. The claim geography, the points of contact, you'll designate either as a CA or UFA, and then finally you will upload your HUD-approved grant inventory worksheet in EastNAPs. So all of this information must be complete prior to the date that registration is scheduled to close. Once registration is closed, HUD then reviews all of the registrations, and if there are any disputes or any back and forth, we will contact the COC. Once HUD has approved the COC registration, you'll receive confirmation in EastNAPs, and HUD will issue a listserv informing COCs that the registration review process is done, and you can access EastNAPs to review your confirmation. COC Registration Process. The Applicant Profile has been moved from the COC Application Process to the COC Registration Process. The Applicant Profile must be completed in full before a collaborative applicant can access the COC application. We recommend that you complete the profile during registration period so that once the COC NOFA is released and the EastNAP system is available for application, you can go in and work on your application. One thing to remember with the applicant profile is that there are two applicant types. There is a COC and then there's an applicant. For registration, all of the collaborative applicants must select COC, and this is very important. If you don't, you will not be able to access the COC application. Those entities that will come in later to apply for project funding under the competition, they will select applicants. So it's a key distinction to keep in mind. The collaborative applicants that are registering on behalf of the COC and then submitting the COC application must select COC as their applicant type, and then those project applicants that will come in later to submit the project application will select applicant. Registration will be open for 30 days from the day that EastNAPS is open. Registration, as you all know, opened on August 31st, and that means it will close on October 1st. There is no import feature available this year, so the collaborative applicants will have to enter all of their information anew in EastNAPS. The good news for you all is that the registration process is similar, so you'll find most of the forms the same as what you've used in previous years. We made the decision not to import due to the changes that have been made in registration and the application process in order to implement the COC program. The collaborative applicant will need to provide primary and alternate contacts should we have questions or need additional information. It's important to remember that the information contained in these two forms are used by HUD to transmit key information to the COC, such as your grant inventory worksheets. So therefore, it's imperative that you keep that information current, so we have the most current information so that we can contact folks on your behalf. And remember, you can go in at any time to update the applicant profile if there are any changes. The HMIS contact form must list the HMIS lead agency and their contact information. The homeless referral contact information should be the person in each community for stakeholders and potential program participants to contact with for information about community housing and services for the homeless. And this is important. We list this person's contact information on our website. So when questions come in from folks who live in your COC geographic area, we will direct them to this homeless referral contact. So it should really be the person in your COC that can answer those questions about availability of housing and services. Additional information in your applicant profile captures the congressional districts for the COC jurisdiction, whether or not the collaborative applicant organization is faith-based and has ever received a federal grant, whether or not the code of contact is on file with HUD. If the code of contact is not on file with HUD, the collaborative applicant must attach it to the applicant profile. And additionally, those collaborative applicants that are nonprofits will need to attach a copy of the nonprofit designation as well. The purpose is for COCs to inform HUD of the geography that will be claimed for the purpose of submitting the fiscal year 2012 COC application. The geography claimed by the collaborative applicant will determine the COC's preliminary pro rata need. The formula for determining PPRN is in the COC Program Interim Rule, and you can find that at section 578.17a. The PPRN amounts may have increased from the previous years to accommodate the inclusion of the Shelter Plus Care renewals in the final calculations along with the Supportive Housing Program renewals. Collaborative applicants will also indicate if two or more COCs have merged between the end of the fiscal year 2011 COC competition and this registration process. All COC mergers must be approved by HUD prior to the COC registration. The COC will also identify all renewal grants for the fiscal year 2012 COC application process through the GIW. The HUD-attached GIW must be attached to the COC registration in EastNAPS. And do not attach the GIW in EastNAPS until you have received your HUD-approved GIW. This is very important. And as we discussed in previous broadcasts, renewal projects that are marked for reduction or elimination to create a new reallocated project should be noted on your final GIW. The final pro rata need, your permanent housing bonus, and COC planning amounts, those will be confirmed during the COC registration confirmation process. So when you receive the confirmation back from HUD, those amounts will be indicated in your confirmation. For the COC registration process, there are two types of COCs. There is the collaborative applicant and then the unified funding agency. For the fiscal year 2012 COC registration process, collaborative applicants may either apply as a collaborative applicant or they can request designation as a unified funding agency. HUD will determine at assessment if the COC meets the requirements to be a UFA, and if the COC is not approved as a UFA, HUD will automatically revert the applicant status back to collaborative applicant. As we mentioned, HUD will assess the UFA designation in registration. Those applicants that are not approved as UFAs in registration will be notified during registration confirmation process and will be able to move forward in the COC application phase as a collaborative applicant. In order to be compliant with the McKinney-Vento Act as amended by the Hearth Act, as well as the COC program interim rule, the fiscal year 2012 COC registration process will include the opportunity for CAs to submit the request to be designated as a UFA. And the regulatory standards to be designated by HUD as a UFA are necessarily high, and HUD does not expect most communities to be able to meet these standards in fiscal year 2012, in part because communities have not had sufficient time to implement the new COC program rule. However, HUD strongly encourages communities that intend to seek UFA designation in the future to review the questions included in the 2012 registration process in order to guide your local capacity building activities to prepare for future competition. The COC registration process. So there are board questions and then there are capacity questions. New this year, we've added forms pertaining to the COC board and capacity. The collaborative applicants are not required this year to answer the board questions, as those questions will not be used as part of the registration assessment. However, HUD is very interested in capturing the responses for informational purposes. We want to gauge where people are, so we strongly encourage CAs to complete this information. There are separate capacity questions for CAs and UFAs, and the capacity questions for the UFAs, combined with a series of attachments that are required, will be used to determine if the CA is approved as a UFA. And I will now turn it over to Brian.
Thank you, Lisa. The next set of slides highlight major policies from the Hearth Act and the COC interim rule being implemented under the 2012 COC program competition, as well as requirements that all collaborative applicants should consider to fully implement the COC program. First, the activities of the SHP, Shelter Plus Care, and Section 8 Mod Rehab SRO programs have been consolidated into one continuum of care program. To continue ongoing leasing, operations, supportive services, rental assistance, HMIS, and administrative activities, expiring SHP and Shelter Plus Care projects are renewable under the COC program competition, as provided for in Section 578.33 of the interim rule. These projects and activities will continue to be eligible for renewal under the original grant terms as long as the recipient does not significantly change the project after the submission of the 2012 COC program application. Funds for rental assistance previously funded under the Shelter Plus Care program are now included in the COC's annual renewal demand called Hold Harmless Need, formerly called Hold Harmless Need, as Lisa has covered that in previous slides. Leasing versus rental assistance. This is a big topic that COCs are looking at right now. I want to let you know that a separate webinar will address recent listserv messages provided to clarify the reclassification of leasing projects to rental assistance. So please check out the HUD HRE resource page to access that webinar. Additional COC program highlights. New projects will be able to select a term of either 1, 2, 3, or 5 years. It should be noted that only rental assistance projects will be able to select 5 years of funding. That is for, again, new projects. New projects are allowed to request funding for 1 year to facilitate implementation of COC strategies to reduce gaps in permanent housing in an effort to increase the total number of available permanent housing beds and to increase the number of persons moving into permanent housing. Any new projects requesting capital costs are not eligible for 1 year requests and will be increased to a 3-year term if submitted for 1 year. The grant term for renewal projects will continue to be limited to 1 year of funding. Requests for multiple years of funding will be reduced to 1-year terms. As in previous competitions, an applicant's ability to timely draw and spend grant funds will be a factor in evaluating performance of each grant. Under the COC program interim rule, applicants will be required to draw project funds at a minimum on a quarterly basis if funded in the 2012 program competition. Reallocation process. It will continue. All COCs will have the ability to reduce or eliminate funds for renewal projects, including projects of expiring Shelter Plus Care grants, to develop new projects. COCs may seek to use the reallocation process to create new dedicated HMIS projects, new permanent supportive housing projects, or rapid rehousing projects. Collaborative applicants should identify all projects being reduced or eliminated through the reallocation process on the 2012 GIW. However, please note that COCs will still have the opportunity to reallocate in the application stage if you had not finalized those plans and were not able to get them on the GIW. So we encourage you, if you do have those plans finalized, please include them on the GIW, but if you cannot get them onto the GIW in time, you can still reallocate during the application process. HUD will continue to target COCs serving extremely high-need communities to receive funding. Additional points will be awarded to COCs based on the following criteria in the geographic areas: foreclosures, the number of homeless persons, unemployment, the ratio of unsheltered to sheltered homeless persons, the preliminary pro rata need, and the number of chronically homeless persons in your area. Subject to available funding, there will be a permanent housing bonus. The bonus amount will be up to 10% of the Continuum's preliminary pro rata need. COC project applicants will be able to use the funds for projects that serve chronically homeless individuals and families. COCs were required to submit their 2012 housing inventory data and point-in-time data directly into the HUD Homeless Data Exchange, that is the HDX website. The 2012 submission deadline was April 30th, 2012. Like last year, COCs will not rank renewal projects in EastNAPs. COCs will only be required to accept or reject a renewal project. However, all new project applications must be ranked or rejected by the COC. HUD will not review any project that is rejected by the COC. HUD will also continue the two-step funding announcement process in 2012. Funding for renewal applicants will be awarded first. All other projects, including planning dollars, UFA fiscal costs, and new projects, including reallocations, will be awarded at a later date. The HARTH Act and the Continuum of Care interim rule require that COCs consult with state and local government ESG recipients within the geographic area on the plan for allocating ESG funds and reporting on and evaluating the performance of ESG recipients and subrecipients. COCs should consider, if this is not already occurring, how coordination with ESG recipients will occur and what plans are required to be in place at the COC level to ensure that this requirement is met. The COC program requires that all communities have an HMIS that has the capacity to collect unduplicated counts of individuals and families experiencing homelessness and provide information to project sponsors and applicants for needs analysis and funding priorities. Additionally, all ESG recipients must participate in the local HMIS. For many communities, this will mean an increase in users that the HMIS must be able to accommodate. The HMIS lead should continue to consider any unique needs that the HMIS may be required to address in order to accommodate these emergency shelter, street outreach, and homeless prevention programs. The COC program focuses on performance and outcomes, including measures that have not previously been reviewed by HUD under legacy homeless assistance programs in prior competitions. HUD encourages COCs to review the performance measures and to begin to strategize how outcomes will be collected at the local level. Now let's recap the timeline for the registration process. COCs should have sent their GIW to the local field office around August 25th to start the reconciliation process to finalize their GIWs. Please remember the guidance in recent listservs regarding reclassifications of renewing grants. Again, this guidance is available on the HUD HRE resource page. It's very important to thoroughly review that guidance. The registration notice was posted and the registration process opened in EastNAPs on August 31st, 2012. COCs, in consultation with their grantees, must carefully reconcile any differences on the GIW with the field office. The final GIW approved by the field office must be submitted with the registration in EastNAPs. After a 30-day period, the registration process for COCs will close in EastNAPs on October 1st, 2012 at 7:59:59. So in other words, you got to get it done before 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 1st, 2012. Again, the submission must include the HUD-approved GIWs. Any COCs that fail to submit their registration prior to the deadline in EastNAPs will not have access to the COC and project application process. So needless to say, you have to get that done if you want to request renewals and new projects this year. And of course, that is the same as it has been in prior years. As we conclude the broadcast, HUD cannot emphasize enough the importance of COCs and grantees to carefully review the key material that this year's competition is based on. That would be the COC interim rule, the COC registration notice, the various training materials, and additional guidance and frequently asked questions that are available on the HUD HRE. Again, the link for the HUD HRE is www.hudhre.info. Please note, due to high volume of questions being asked on the virtual help desk, HUD strongly encourages you to please read the regulation, the interim rule, the registration notice, and all of the material prior to submitting a question to the virtual help desk. Chances are you will find the answer to your question by reviewing the material provided. If the answer cannot be found on the HUD HRE, please then go ahead and submit your question to the virtual help desk. Also, please remember that starting the day prior to the registration deadline, the virtual help desk will respond only to emergency technical support questions up to the deadline. So if you have more policy type questions, please get those in before the very end. And finally, I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this broadcast. We hope that it was helpful as you prepare for your COC registration. And as always, thank you all for all the hard work on the ground to serve the people that need it the most. Thank you very much.